What's going on, y'all? This is Mike Brown, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in to The Art of Letting Go. This is your first time listening. Welcome to the show. If you've been listening, thank you so much. Shout out to the international listeners. If y'all enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, comment, share it. Let people know what you think about this show. Even if you don't like it, let me know, because I want to make it the best for you, for me, for all of us. Thank y'all for listening. It's The Art of Letting Go.
Yo, what up? This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go. Today, I have a special guest in the building. You invited me to be on your show, and I wanted to have you on mine. Do you mind introducing yourself to the people?
Yeah, my name is Derek. I'm the host of the Behind the Wheel podcast, a show that's dedicated to amplifying the accomplishments of just ordinary people who do extraordinary things within their community. And so, yeah, you're one of those individuals, which is why I had you on the show.
I appreciate that, man. And
no doubt.
How did you get started?
Podcasting? It was like on a whim, man. I started as a runner, right? And so, found a running community, and it just became like a very supportive group. And you meet different people, and it's like, yo, I think this person is interesting. I'd like to find out more about them and just kind of share their story with what I found interesting about them with the rest of the running community, for those who might not have known or been familiar with their story. And so I would just call up somebody and say, hey, listen, you got your phone? He's like, yeah. You have another device? I said, yeah, okay. Then put that device in front of you and let's just have a call, and we'll talk and just look into the camera as if it was just pre-Zoom. And that was the interview. And then they would send me the video, and I would take that, the two clips, and sync them together. And it would be as if like a picture in a picture. Yeah. That's how we did the first couple of episodes. And I wasn't even uploading them. I was just happy to just have a conversation with somebody else and to be able to hear their story and be able to share it with the audience.
That's what's up. How long have you been doing it?
This is since 2016.
Okay, nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Started like the end of 2017, and just have seen a lot of transitions in like just my podcast and recording stuff. What has been like your biggest challenge in everything that you're doing?
At first it was just like you start balancing out the two, because you wind up wearing like different hats. 1 minute you're an administrative assistant trying to get somebody to come on the show. You're booking guests to come on the show, and then you've got to, then take that hat off and actually conduct the interview, and then you have to do the research before you actually conduct the interview. So you got to research a hat that you're wearing, just juggling all the different facets of just getting the show out. Yeah. So after you did the show, now you got to edit it, and now you got to find a hosting site, get it out there, promote it, and you're just one individual early on. So if it's not something that you enjoy doing initially, you might get discouraged.
Yeah.
If you jump in and say, I just want to make some money, because at first you may not be making any money. You don't have an audience yet. Unless you have an audience baked in, you're just talking to somebody in hopes that, okay, I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah.
So just getting balancing it out. Once you got a routine, then you're good to go.
How important do you think it is to have a team in working on a podcast? And I think in the beginning, I think you can start it by yourself, but once you're growing and trying to grow it, how important do you think it is to have like other people to work with you?
It's critical for I think for your growth and your peace of mind, because you're going to get to a point where if you're ambitious and you just want to continue to improve whatever it is you're doing, you're going to realize, okay, maybe I might be lacking in the research part of it. I should have been able to spend some more time getting some research done. I wish I had somebody else that could just do the research, And so, you say, oh man, you're going to need a researcher. I want to grow, but I need sponsors. So you need somebody dedicated to getting out there and getting after those sponsors and telling them what the show is about and then promoting it. And then coming up with different ideas for your show. If you're just one individual doing it, there's nothing wrong with that. But you're the artist, right? So you don't need somebody marketing, managing, promoting, getting merch. It becomes there's so many different things that you can do that you would just limit your potential, because it's only, you can't scale one person operation.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What's been keeping you doing it for so long? Like, what's keeping you inspired to keep podcasting?
It is, I think it is, I genuinely am concerned about people. I like talking to people. And so like I came from a field where initially I was in a social work field, and had gotten to a point where I had a director at the time tell me, "Yo, you got a welfare mentality." He was over the phone. And so now I'm in Brooklyn. I was running a dropout prevention program in East New York. And so I got off the phone, it was Pennsylvania Avenue, Thomas Jefferson High School, and drove to his office. It was like, what do you mean I got a welfare mentality? Because the first year that we started with the program, we had a summer program. The second year, he waited right until the end, like in the summer. It's like, oh, by the way, we won't be having a summer program this year. My kids were small at the time. I'm like, well, wait a second. I mean, now you telling us now? Like, so why are we meeting? Why are we having a meeting? Because I got to go. I got to start thinking about employment. What am I going to do for the summer? And so then the following year, I put together a program, and we got funding and got him a job because he was the director. And, I'm the senior case manager at the time or whatever. And so for him to say that I had a welfare mentality, just kind of like, it's like, yo, I had to go and confront him. They had offered me this man's job. Wow. But I was like, yo, he was going through some changes or whatever, different lifetime, time in his life or whatever. I don't judge anybody, but I didn't want to take the position under those circumstances because I didn't think it would be right. Give him a chance to come back, whatever he needs to do, but don't offer me his job while he's, MIA. I guess they have to continue doing whatever they're doing. So I had gotten to the point where that just wasn't for me. And I left. I had taken a break and got into retail management, and then spending time and going through and just kind of talking with different people. I was working at Kinko's. It wasn't just like a leap to retail management. I was making copies overnight. You know what I mean? So I started making copies overnight, but I like people. So they had a training position open, and I was like, yo, I'm going to apply for this job, and I had gotten the job. So just talking and seeing people develop and believing in them and seeing them reach their fullest potential, that gave me joy. And so, you continue to grow and develop or whatever. And that's what I want. I get a kick out of seeing people develop. I get a kick out of seeing someone aspiring to do something, and they say, you know what, I think I could, thank you for the opportunity, or thank you for believing in me, taking the time to spend with me and encourage me to go down this path or whatever. So that's what kind of kept me in the mix, man, and saying, I think I could do this podcasting thing, man, because I like talking and hearing someone's story,
Yeah. What advice would you give to somebody that's just starting out with podcasting, or like been doing it for a little while and still trying to navigate it and figure it out?
I've said, don't get discouraged. Think think beyond like where you are currently. Think about, your question about a team. Who can I find? What would my ideal team look like? And who would I need on the team? I would suggest, if you I was listening to one of the we work at night. We work is, the company we work, right? And so Gimlet is a one of the podcasting entities that Spotify just purchased. Alex Bloomberg, who used to be with he was the producer of This American, not This American Life, Planet Money. I think he did some work on This American Life, and then he started Gimlet. So they partnered with We Work at Night, and they have a show. After the end of the show, you listen to who, the show is they had like 3 producers, right? You listen to the names that run off. They have an executive producer, they have a researcher, they have somebody that's doing the music. So that's 6 people for just that one show. Right. And so now you think about, okay, there's got to be somebody and the show is sponsored by someone. So they have I didn't even mention the editor. So there's an editor for the show. There's somebody that's doing the research, a fact checker. They have a list of people. So if you got an idea of like, okay, let me see what's out there. And then you might have a different spin that you want to put on your show. Right. And that's just them sitting down there and they're interviewing a CEO or an entrepreneur at night. So what's keeping them up at night? Just dream. It's not going to cost you anything to dream, because if you don't dream it, then the possibilities of it happening, the chances of it happening is not. It's not. You're going to hit a law. You're going to get frustrated. Oh man, what's going on? What do I? You got to dream it. You got to think about it in advance before it becomes a manifested reality.
That's real, man. I wanted to transition into why I brought you on the show. Mm-hmm. Because you sent me an article that stood out to me because it was about coming out. And, I've had my own journey of coming out through sexuality, but yours was coming out with something different. And that being bipolar. Mm-hmm. And I don't know very many men or like very many Black people in general that are open about that. So one, I commend you for that, but also I wanted to know like what led, like how did you even come to that? I mean, I know it's in the article, but I wanted to share with the listeners, like, just because we talk about a lot of things, but we've never really talked about mental health in this way. So I guess like, just how did you, like, what made you even check to see like what was going on?
Well, I have I knew I was bipolar for some time, but it may be a nice line to throw in a rap song, bipolar flow, it's hot, cold, wordplay. It sounds nice, but then dealing with the reality of it every day, and it's not something that I was talking about while I was in retail management, because he's acting like that because he's crazy. That's what people would typically throw out there, not understanding what bipolar is all about, or any mental illness for that matter. So they just kind of lump you all together. So when I think about women who, they might be going through their cycle, and then somebody says, oh, she's on her period, that's why she's acting this way. It just becomes like, it's insensitive. It's insensitive. And it just shows how ignorant people can be. And so I would advocate for people.
What is like bipolar exactly? Like what does it even mean?
I mean, you have varying degrees. You have some people, it's like really manic highs You can be very creative. At one point, you have different artists, and then you have where, you're not on if somebody's not on their meds, or they offer that they have the extreme where they can get really low, they can get depressed, or you get sporadic, and you might be going through a manic episode where now you had something that triggered the event, whether it was, they call them stressors, you feel like you can conquer the world. And so you're staying up, you got this burst of energy, you're creative, and people, it's not that somebody's, crazy, but then you might wind up taking on a whole lot. And then when the dust settles, now this pressure and burden starts to weigh you down. And it's like, how am I going to get out from underneath this? And you might start feeling like, oh man, I can't cope. I can't deal with it anymore, and you have a break, Some people, you have you have famous artists, even in recent history, you think about Robin Williams, Anthony Bourdain, Kate Spade. They're people who have accomplished, but struggling, battling with these, just how am I gonna, what is going on? You have artists who, whether it's through, drug addiction or a mental illness, it's real, and because people, we don't talk about it, or you get if I'm looking in the media, right, and I'm seeing how they responding to Kanye, I'm like, okay, I'm not even at his level. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just going to deal with this by myself. I'm not going to talk about it. Right. And so I just was feeling like, I was preparing to do an interview with a sister who is, she's pretty active in the running community. Like in 2016, she led a group of women, 4 women. They ran from Harlem to DC. She raised a ton of money for a great cause. And then she's just been speaking out, and then to hear that, she was dealing with, she was having her own battles with depression.
Yeah.
And so, you think about the courage that it takes for someone to speak out about something that they believe in, you said you commend me. I wasn't, I don't know. Everybody does things at their own pace, man. But I'm like in awe of people who walk and live in their truth every day. Meanwhile, just the majority of my life was just like, yo, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to power through, because that's what am I going to do? I'm going to talk to, who am I going to talk to about it? Like,
yeah.
And so it's like a secret. So I felt like it was, in the closet. It just so happened, I changed the title of it because as I was thinking about it, it was around my birthday. And so I'm thinking about the day, and I'm thinking about the title. I'm thinking about how people feel, and you make connections, which is a good thing, because I don't know if I would make these connections with things that I probably would normally, see a connection with, And so that's just how my mind works. I'm not special, that, I have times when I know that, okay, it's getting hot in here.
Yeah.
I could tell when okay, so I need to dial it back, and just just take a different approach. There are things that you could do, exercise helps. And so when I found running later on in life, like I started running in 2010. My sister, struggled with her weight for a number of years. She was like, for like 2 years, she was like, actually 2012. So she started talking to me about running in like 2010. yo, you should try this thing. I'm like, all right, okay. I played sports, but when I got married, I was just working. You know, I played ball early on in the wedding and marriage, and then it was just like, you know, I was living in Long Island and commuting back and forth to Brooklyn. That's where my friends were at, and I'm just, you know, it just became, you're not spending time. It's like, all right, you keep the peace, and then I wasn't doing anything. But you need that release, you know, you need that balance. And so when I started, you know, people talk about work-life balance. You need that balance. You need something, you know, entrepreneurs will talk about it. Designers, you know, fashion, creators. You need something to, as a release, the exercise, the movement. You know, people talking about meditation or yoga. You need that physical. Otherwise, what am I doing?
Right.
You know, so now you don't have any place to release this. You become like it's pressure. You know, and as a car, you know, engine, they have that little exhaust there, the valve at the top of the radiator. So if it starts to boil over, you know, and then the car overheats, you're going to overheat, you know, and if you keep going, you wind up blowing the engine, you know? So you have these things in, okay, so it's getting hot. You need to dial it down. You need to, you know, take a moment and self-care. There's nothing wrong with rest. You know, people tell, oh, I just get up and I just go. You know, at the time I was working 2 full-time jobs, right? And going to school in between. Like the night job, I could get a little sleep after I write my papers. I was working at a group home. After I'm writing my papers, then I could go to sleep, you know, wake up in the morning, get them dressed and ready to start their day. But that's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot. It's nothing wrong. And your guys, we just like, we take pride in dumb stuff. You know, and there's nothing wrong with saying, you know, I'm working, like, yeah, okay, 2 jobs and going to school. At some point, I say that's a prescription for a problem. You can't maintain that and be effective. Something somewhere along the line is going to have to give. You know, and so I realized that when he said, you know, you got a welfare mentality, that was like a trigger for me. It's like, because now it kind of like, it pulled me like, what? Now, you know, we're in a, you know, I'm you know, in a social work environment. I'm trying to keep kids, you know, from dropping out of high school. It's my director. And so, but that triggered me. That was a trigger, because now you're questioning, you start thinking, I wasn't thinking all this at the time, and reflecting about it now. It's like, you start thinking, yo, you questioning my work ethic, my character. You know, I got something to prove to you. Like, you really don't have anything to prove to anyone. You know? So going through and getting, but I had gotten to a point where it was enough, and I came after leaving from his office. I traveled down to Maryland, and that's when I had like a break, you know, and it was just like, oh man, this is it. You know, you're just acting bizarre, you know, not knowing what's going on and just rebelling, and not, because you don't know at first. Like you go through your entire life. Like by this point, my parents were in Barbados. And so now, you know, got a house, you know, young family, married, and you start, your ego and your pride get to talking, and you start to feeling, I guess at one point you start to smell your ass or whatever they used to say. I don't know what it is, but you start to feel as though, yo, I'm doing all right. You know, like what do you mean? What's wrong? You start, you know, you not knowing, oh, there's something wrong. And so, you know, call the cops. Cops come, I go to the hospital. And then they say, oh, he's bipolar. So now I don't know anything about it. So now what I do is, anytime I don't know anything about something, I go get a book. I start doing research. Okay. All right. So now I start, okay, I got a name for it. That helps. Otherwise, you start feeling like, what's wrong with me? Like, not that something is wrong with you. You just know, okay, you're different.
Yeah.
And that's when it was like, oh, okay, wow. This started to make some sort of sense. But even in hearing it from a doctor and being hospitalized because somebody called the cops, I'm thinking, oh man, somebody's against you. So that's just how it has an impact on you. So you think about Martin Lawrence, or you think about, where somebody at one point they find him out and there's some erratic behavior, whether it's drug related or whatever, and then you wind up having to go to the hospital. It can happen, and it can affect anyone. It can affect anyone. And just recently, you think about Philadelphia, and Philly. Gentleman was obviously he was having a mental break. A manic episode. He's out there. They call the cops. They call the ambulance first, right? The ambulance show up with the cops. And you see what the result was.
Right, yeah.
So it is it's my hope that people will kind of think about it. And just, maybe I should go and see someone, you know. Maybe I should just go and see someone and find out, this starts to make sense. And then what do I need to do? There are times like just your diet, eating habits, exercise. That stuff makes a difference, man. I had someone call me and thank me, when I posted it. They was like, oh, thanks for posting it or whatever. And then they hit me up and was like, oh, need to talk. All right, no problem. Give me a call. I called her up or whatever. And she called me back because, she didn't pick up the phone when I had called. And then, let me just get right to it. A family member is going through something, and I'm wondering if you know any resources in this particular area. And so if somebody, hear your story, the only way they're going to hear is if you share it.
Right.
So whether you share it in a written form and or on a podcast, they may not know. They might feel like I'm just out there by myself.
Right. And my question to you, because like I understand somebody hitting you up and asking, like for resources for a family member, but how do you, as somebody that is bipolar, like how would you want somebody to approach you? Like if let's say I had somebody I thought that could possibly be like, how would you even approach that? You know what I mean? Or how would you want to be approached?
Like if we're just having, if somebody's like, they just want to have a conversation, they're not in crisis, we can talk, but I had a challenge that I said I was going to start. I'm not going to be giving any unsolicited advice, just to people, you know what I mean? I'm not even so much here, but just, I have part of me is like, yo, you should write a book. You should write a book. Right. But when you, and I say it because I think about somebody's story. I'm like, yo, you telling me your story and I'm listening to your story. I'm fascinated by it. And if I'm fascinated, there's nothing special about me. But if I'm fascinated by it, I can imagine somebody else would find your story intriguing. So I would say this to this one of my followers or whatever. And the reason I said I would stop saying it is because I had recently interviewed him. And after the interview, she was like, yo, when I think about it, you say write this book, but I'm afraid to go into the closet because when I start pulling stuff out, I'm afraid of what else is going to come out of there. When you sit down and you start writing, whether I don't care if you write well or not, but when you start thinking about what you're going to put down on paper, the stories, and it may stir up some stuff that's in it that you may not be prepared to deal with. So I'm like, yo, I'm telling somebody to write a book, I don't know what traumatic stuff they got going on. So I'm gonna say have you considered, I don't know, but I'm not gonna be giving out just, you should do this, you should do that, whatever. But if we're having a conversation about it, yeah.
Right. I guess I look at it from the stance of like, if you have close relationships with people and if it's affecting your relationship with someone, like what is the approach? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, as far as dealing with
like maybe a family member or a close friend.
Well, my family knows, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm in a relationship with someone or whatever, I let them know, because they need to know what they, at this stage, in my life or whatever, you need to know what you're getting into.
Right.
You don't want to start a relationship and then, oh, by the way,
right.
this is a pre-existing, like, yo, I got a lemon, especially I didn't know if I'd have known that, you want people to know. So you're talking about being upfront, let them know what they're getting into. Because I didn't sign up for that. And that's cool. That's real. And then that way somebody can decide what they want to do, rather than you spring something on someone, like y'all ain't never been together. And then night of the wedding, you come out and you take off your leg. And it's like, he ain't got no leg. I didn't know if I'd known, how you going to tell me? I mean, it's just, that might be a bit extreme. And I hope that's not offensive to your listeners, but people need to know. Just be honest with people, man. I think if people know that there's and it doesn't mean like there's something wrong with you just need to know, because then it will help put things in perspective for them. Okay. They might be able to assist you in realizing, they start to see patterns, And so it's just it will just help.
Man, I definitely appreciate you sharing that, because I feel like you definitely shared a lot, and it's making me think about things you started with Kanye, and seeing somebody like Kanye that is labeled bipolar and the extremes of that, like somebody that's not at that level may not think that they are, you know what I mean? So it's cool to have you here. And I also wanted to ask you, like, what is your self-care plan look like? Like because I know you mentioned self-care, but like, what does yours look like? What's your routine?
Man, I know when I'm like, if I run, I know if I don't go out for a run, I start to, after I miss 1 or 2 days or whatever, after a while, then it really, you feel the difference. Even if you don't have, you're a marathoner or a triathlete, or this is a habit, this is a routine that you've been accustomed to doing, then you stop, it's like, oh man, you start feeling guilty, or you get out. There are times I might get out and I'm in the car and I see somebody running. I'm like, dang, I should have went for a run. It's just the whole idea of goals and setting goals for yourself, and then working towards those goals. Those weekend warrior, athletic, amateur goals, or whatever you want to call them, or whatever. So it just it helps to keep you focused. You have a routine.
Yeah.
You have a release for the stress. You got a place to kind of put that. I spend time, whether it's reading or listening to a podcast or a book on tape, just staying knowledgeable and just staying connected with people. There's times I take time and I'm with myself. Writing helps me just kind of like focus or just be at ease. Resting, like I said, is important. That I think that's underrated, but that's a part of That's a part of the recovery. If you're training, whether it's for a marathon or triathlon, or you're trying to perform at a high, you're gonna need some rest. You're gonna need time to recover, because we're not made to stay up 24 hours, 7 days a week. You can't do that. You might be able to pull an all-nighter once or twice, but trying to function at that level as you go higher, you're gonna become irritable. It's gonna start to show you. We're not made to do that. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you make. You need rest. You're gonna need some time to think. They was talking about like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. They said they wash the dishes. They find peace in washing the dishes. Because I had associated the manic episode with a state, right? When I came back, I started sewing. I hadn't sewn in since the 90s.
Wow.
Because I used to make bow ties and I stopped sewing. But there's something about the creativity that goes into it, seeing a garment or seeing a pattern of fabric and then saying, I could see that with this, and you put it together and then you design, you're creating. There's something fulfilling and rewarding about that. I was just listening to a podcast, not a podcast, a book, Grit. Duckworth is the author.
Okay.
And she was talking about this potter, this family, wife, they were dabbling and doing other things, and then they focused on just making pottery. And because they continue to kind of focus on it, they got better, and they were doing other things, and they just kind of honed in on doing the pottery, and they really excelled. They spent the better half of their life just making pots, doing something they enjoy,
Wow.
And so it's not something like, natural talent, it's your skill, plus the time and the effort that's going to, add up to achievement. It's not, you got to work at it. And just not give up. And you just don't give up, and you're what you're doing is I think it's incredible, man, because you're sharing and giving people an opportunity to, in a space to share. And then you find out something like, you was like, yo, Anchor, listen, they looking for Black voices. You should, this is what you do, X, Y, and Z. And that's most people don't share, and I don't mind sharing. I was going through my feed, my IG feed, went to the explore page. There's this reel at the top, and this sister she's like sharing this ghosting feature. And I'm like, yo, she's most people like they don't share trade secrets. It's like, yo, this is just for me. I ain't trying to. But when I went to a whole page, I'm like, yo, she's got a whole list of things where she's just sharing. She's just giving, that's, you're helping, you're adding value to people. I'm like, yo, she's on something else.
Yeah.
It's just, that's you're going to attract a certain type of person to your page, to your content, because they might not say this, you adding value. And so by adding value, you wind up, like doing this, holding on to this. Yeah, you can hold on to what you got, but you ain't gonna be able to get nothing else in your hand because
right.
You don't want you ain't trying to be open. You're just trying, guard and protecting. Like it's not trade. It's not like, it's not a patent.
Yeah, man. What I realized for me, like, was for me is for me, and can't nobody take that. So I don't mind sharing the resources I have because, I'm gonna get what's for me.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. I'm excited about it, man. They got this thing called reverse mentoring, man. And I'm like, I tried to stay, abreast of the technology or just what's out there. And and see young people doing something and just like, yo, applaud them, man. Stay connected. It's not a strategy. I mean, in some places they use it as like a strategy to help them. Like it's like a cycle. I've got this thing that I've been thinking about, like help people IMAC their lives, identify their purpose, maximize their potential, accelerate the growth, and then continue the cycle. I see it as like you connect with somebody and then you're sharing it with someone else. Like I can't say I'm originating that, but I just like IMAC. I just like, you do something different with these acronyms. But the idea is you should have someone above you that you're connected to. Right. And you should have somebody that's on your level aspiring to go somewhere that you can connect to. That you're vibing with. So you're not alone. You're not traveling this road by yourself. And then there's somebody that you're reaching out to and they look up to you. And that's how you keep it going. Like when you get it, I got it. I never forget this teacher told me, I got mine, you got to get yours. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. You got your degree, I got mine, you got to get yours. I hear what you're saying, but to me, that just the way my mind, that's stupid. And you got your degree, that you should get a refund because that don't make any sense to me. As a kid, I'm in high school. I'm like, that's selfish.
Yeah.
That's what I walked away from that conversation with, is that selfish. I don't want to be like that.
Yeah, I've run across people in my journey that have told me that they had it hard. So, I have to go through the quote unquote struggle as well. And for me, I'm looking at it like, man, the things that I've struggled with and I've gone through, I don't want somebody to, not to say that somebody won't go through these, but if I could give you some tools to make it a little easier for you, I'm going to give them to you.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Like during the pandemic, right? I'm sitting up there, the early stages of it. I'm like, okay, let me, I binge watched Ozark, and then, you got ice cream or whatever. I'm going in and I'm like, okay, wait a second. This is good. I can't keep this pace up. I got to make a decision. So I'm looking at Masterclass and I download Masterclass, right? First class I take, I don't even watch her shows. I wasn't even watching her shows at the time. Shonda Rhimes, right? So I'm going through and I'm looking at her masterclass. I'm like, yo, she's really giving. But she said, I'm at the stage now in my career where I want to spend time developing the next generation. And you could tell within her content, she's got workbooks, she's got classes, she's got the way that she's just going through the material. She just loves to share and give. You can tell it. That's just part of who she is. Like I watch Spike Lee's and I'm like he's just sitting down shooting the shit to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I got more out of she's just on a different level,
Yeah.
It's just, and so now I'm like, maybe this is how I learn, vivid examples. She gave this example about how she compared running to writing. And, she said, if you don't run every day, running is hard. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. So now, because I'm a runner, she had me at running, and she started talking about, she sit down and she writes. And, sometimes she's like going on this long haul. There's Candy. There's all these distractions. There's Idris Elba. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be distracted by Idris Elba. So I'm going to just keep. But she's distracted by Idris. And then she says she sits down. Now, the more she does it, she gets to that place. She has music on and she writes and she comes up with these incredible stories. And I just think that there are people that have so many different incredible stories within them. But if we don't make it safe for them to share them, it'll never happen. You got to make it safe for people to be able to share stuff. And I wanted to, that's why I admire what you're doing, to be able to say, this is who I am, and you decide what you want to do, but I'm good with me, and I think people respect that, man. And so it's encouraging. Mm-hmm.
Man, I appreciate that. Before we get out of here, I got one more question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What is one piece of advice or a life lesson that you could share with the listeners?
Forgive early and often. it's liberating. It's not for the person that wronged you. It's for you. Because it can lock you into not receiving. You know, it can lock you into just being stuck. Get hard. Like I ain't doing this. Stubborn. Pride kind of sets in, and then it becomes like, and it's just not pride. It becomes then guilt and shame. They start, it's like a WrestleMania in your head, man. They start double teaming, tagging you, and you're like, wait a second, what's going? You know, sometimes you just need to take the count, man. Take the count. Okay, I got hurt. I was in the right. They were wrong. I got hurt. Let me just suck it up. You know what? I forgive you. And not just in words, but just like, I forget, why am I doing this? Because if not, you will carry that with you. And it's going, meanwhile, they went on about their life. Yeah. But you stuck right there, like, just like, I don't understand. Like, you could have the right of way. And I think what clicked it, hearing it, this example is like, yo, you could be right and you could be dead right. You could have the light. There's a Mack truck coming. You got the light. Go ahead out there and cross. You are going to be flattened. You know, sometimes just, you know what? It's not worth it. You ain't got to be in, you don't have to, you know, to RSVP every argument. You ain't got to win every argument. You know, sometimes it's just, I forgive you. You know what? You're right. And just for your own peace of mind, like peace of mind right now, yo, it's as precious.
Yeah.
It's precious just to be able to be at peace. Like, yo, I forgiving because of like forgiving, like I just seeing that lesson through my children, like, because pride will get you to feeling like you deserving of something. And, you know, pride is the two faces of it, man. You know, pride could drive you, you know, get you, like, you do a good job, and then pride could drive you in a ditch. It get the best of you, start feeling like you deserve this, and nobody, you know, like, you can't tell. You know, you get off into something else, and now you're not in control. You know, it's you in the passenger seat, and you just on automatic, and it's driving you, and you not. You know, you feel better about yourself. We feel better about ourselves when we are in control, and you're in control when you're not responding to what somebody else did or is doing to you or has done to you, man. It's just liberating, man. It's freedom. Yeah. So man, forgive early and often, man. Just save yourself a lot of time, grief, heartache. You know, people say, yo, how old are you? I'm like 54. You save yourself some grief. Part of it is genes, man. But I wish I had a supplement I could sell somebody. I don't have any pills or anything to sell somebody. Peace, man. Just be at peace. Forgive early and often, man. It will save you some heartache.
That's real, man. Sure. Where can the people find you?
Behind the Wheel Podcast on Instagram. It's you can find me Behind the Wheel Podcast on Facebook. Twitter, Runner for Life. If you go to my go to Instagram and just look on the link tree, and you'll see all the connections and stuff there, man. But it's a pleasure, man. I appreciate you having me on, man. I like what you're doing.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, he got his branded content, y'all. He ain't show y'all the gear, man. Show him the gear, man. So what I see, The Art of Letting Go. Yeah, I usually tell people they should write a book, but I said I'm not doing that, man. But that's the title right there, boy.
I appreciate that. And you know what? I'm gonna take that into strong consideration. I am.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you be giving speeches and That's right. Nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah, man. Derek, thank you so much for coming on. Thank y'all for listening. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of The Art of Letting Go. If you like what you heard, please be sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to this podcast and leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let other people know what you think as well. If you want to get in touch with us, hit us up on all social media at The Art of Letting Go Podcast. Also, you can send me an email, theartoflettinggopodcast@gmail.com, or give us a call. Leave a message. We might play it on the show. 213-394-2773. Also, if you would like to support The Art of Letting Go, we got some really cool merch, as well as we're now on Patreon. You can find us, The Art of Letting Go Podcast. Subscribe to us. Thank you guys for listening. This is Mike Brown, and this is The Art of Letting Go.